And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wild Boar Show. I'm Chris, the Wild Boar, and we have a fun episode today. You're going to learn something. This is going to be informational. It's going to be interesting, and hopefully, it's going to be a little bit entertaining. And I'm going to introduce my guest right here in just a moment and give her credit that is due. But before I do, as I do every cast, I want to say thank you very much to my recent guests, especially last Monday. We were 60 feet in the air at the top, almost the top platform of the Empower Adventures with Jessica Wright. And you can check that out on thewildboarshow.com. Thewildboarshow.com has a link to it. Just a reminder, 25, 35, 45, 55, 60. I am indeed a Florida State licensed auctioneer, real estate broker. I can sell your house and everything inside. That's right. I can sell your car or your castle. I can do it all without a hassle. Benefit auction time coming up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to be working with the American Caribbean Maritime Foundation tomorrow night at the Fort Lauderdale Yacht Club. Genevieve Metzger is the president of that foundation, and if it all goes as planned, we'll have some special guests. The Prime Minister / President of Belize will be there. Michael Bailey, who is the CEO of Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, will be there. But let's get right into this. This is pretty awesome, folks. I am at West Park Mortgage today. That's where I am, and I want to tell you, this beautiful lady next to me is Kristen Bonnier, and she is a licensed mortgage broker. She is with West Park, and she proudly serves the entire Tampa Bay area, probably and beyond. Probably, I'm just guessing. Originally, she's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. We won't hold that against her because we understand she's a Lions fan.
That's right. Go Lions.
No. Okay. Her approach is both professional and personal. She believes that getting a mortgage isn't just about numbers, it's about building a foundation for your future. Kristen is passionate about guiding first time home buyers and move up buyers through every step of the process with confidence and care. When she's not helping clients find the perfect loan, folks, you'll find her enjoying life in Oldsmar with her husband and 2 kids, often at the beach or planning their next family adventure. You had a good one recently. I did a whole Disney cruise. You have to talk about that for a minute.
That's right.
Would you like me to make it sound more conversational? Well, yeah, Kristen, I would. In fact, let's have a conversation. let's I swear, I feel like Biden trying to read off the script. Exit stage left. I'm just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, the applause you hear in the background is for my guest, Miss Kristen Bonnier. Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hi,
Thanks for
welcome.
having me on the Wild Boar Show
The
today.
Wild Boar Show. You are sitting in a chair next to me as a brave person, a brave soul, with a whole bunch of folks. Now, I have so many things. I just don't even know where to start. So I'll start at the beginning. First of all, I've known you for 7 years, right?
Yes.
7 or 8 years.
Yep.
And how did I meet you?
We met through the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber and the Bay Area Young Professionals. We kind of got that off the ground again and got that moving. I think that was in maybe 2019.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think we met first in 2018. 2019, we had our first meeting. It was well attended.
Yes.
I think back to those early days, and one of the greatest moments of that whole thing was 3 or 4 meetings into it when you said, "Oh, why do we have to be so organized to get together and drink beer?" And that's the day that I decided that we were, in fact, a drinking club with a community problem.
That's
What
right.
we were. But we had a great time. We did a lot of events,
Yes.
right? And do you remember some of those events?
Absolutely. And I think the best one that we did was we went to the Tiger Sanctuary.
Oh, yes.
And we had Mr. Baskin actually give us a tour there. So that was before Tiger King. So it was awesome when that came out. We got to
All
say,
your cats
we
and
went there.
kittens or whatever. That was nutty. And if you remember the day that he was giving us the tour, he said, Carol's not here today because what's the guy's name? Joe Exotic or whatever.
Yes.
The guy that's doing prison. He's in the can or whatever, or he took it in the can. Or I don't remember what happened. Anyway, he was doing these roadside attractions, and anyway, he's doing time now. But I remember that she wasn't there that day because she was at a court hearing or something like that, right?
Most likely. I
But
think
we
she's
had a
been
really,
there
really,
often.
yeah. Well, anyway, there are some times where I just kind of pause, look up in the lights, and that's the things that race through my mind that I probably shouldn't say on an international podcast. Okay, so what else did we do? We did the Tiger Tour. What else do you
Well,
remember? What
like
else
you
we did?
mentioned before, it was a lot of organized drinking events, but it was very awesome to see all the different businesses in the area, and we got to, patronize all the different bars and restaurants and things like that. So it was.
It was a lot of fun.
was
Remember,
fun.
Did you go on the Paradise Express? That was fun. The boat. We did the
That's
boat
right.
ride.
We had the boat ride. I'm trying to think of some of the other things we did.
Tampa
but
Bay
those
Downs.
are the Tampa Bay Downs. But the Tiger King was was definitely
It was
my
cool.
highlight.
And we didn't realize how cool it was at the
We
moment
didn't.
until a month or so later, a year later, I guess it was, when everything shut down as COVID. And the next thing you know, you're watching this this documentary. All right. So I remember this distinctly. We were at a place called I think it's called Replay Arcade.
Yes.
That's what it is in Dunedin.
Yes.
And there was somebody was there with their little one.
Mhm.
And I said, these are a lot of fun. And I said, when are you getting one?
Yeah.
And you
That
said,
was like in December.
I know. Yes, you do remember that. You
Yeah.
say you don't remember that. So I was like, congratulations. And now it's 2 later. So
That's
you have a
right.
couple of kids.
Mhm.
Tell
Yes,
me.
my son James, he's 5. His birthday is in December, like I mentioned, and he just started
Right
kindergarten
on
this
time.
year. And my daughter Emma is 3, and she goes to daycare in this area too.
All right, and you get them there on time with
Most of the time, yes. Yeah.
donut bribes. You told me
That's
about.
right. Yes.
Scribble that
If I want to
down.
get them on time, then you have to incorporate a donut bribe.
I like that. You know, I
Mhm.
used to say all the time, like, I'm not a liar, right? And sometimes I forget who I tell people. And then I had a kid, right? You lie all the time.
You must. It's a requirement in
It's just
parenting.
that's what you got to do. Sometimes we call those fibs. That's what
Yeah.
we call those. All right. And so then, and consistently as now, you are a very, very professional person. And so I get my little straight face on for just a minute. Folks, I got to tell you something. If you're new to a networking event and you're in a profession where you need my social security number and my address and birthday, it's not happening in the first event. It's not going to happen, right? But you get to know somebody, you get to like them, you get to trust them, and the next thing you know, you have the privilege of doing things that I had an opportunity and privilege to do, which is to bring you with me on some appointments to assist people in the home buying and selling process. Want to talk a
Absolutely.
little bit about that and what you do when you go to one of those appointments to consult with somebody?
Yeah.
Let's back up. What do? You sell money, right?
That's right. I sell money. I sell mortgages. If you want to buy a house, you want to refinance an existing loan, I can help with either of those things.
Okay. And so we went out to that appointment, and you are a great listener, and you asked some poignant questions. I remember that. What are some of the questions that you ask somebody who is going to buy a house? Because we were selling her house, you remember, and then we had to qualify her because we were going to buy her one as well.
Mhm.
And so you had to go through this laundry list of questions. And what are the things that you have to ask somebody when they are just in the early process of applying for a loan?
Sure. So the most important pieces of applying for a loan are going to be your credit and your income. Those are by far the 2 most important pieces.
Okay.
So when I go through an application, really, I just need to get some kind of basic information from everybody. Where do you live? Where do you work? What type of money do you make? And I get a credit report. And from there, I'm able to kind of determine what purchase price you'd be eligible for,
Okay.
what you can qualify for, what you can go shop for. So I try to make it as easy as possible. Those conversations can be anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour long, depending on how many questions you have and things like that. But I try to minimize my questions at the beginning, make it an easy and less intimidating type of
You're very
process.
comforting, and I think that that's very, very important, right? You make people feel at ease, and you go at their pace, right? For sure. And I think when you and I work together and we bring ourselves into that environment, it can be stressful, right?
Absolutely.
It's
You always
emotional.
think buying a house, it's going to be so fun. And the outcome is, you're a homeowner now.
Clear to close.
When we're clear to close, that's the fun time. But leading up to it can be really stressful. There's a lot that goes into the mortgage. So it's really my job just to make that as easy as possible, to eliminate as much paperwork as we need to do, and to get everything planned and set in place so that once you are under contract, it's smooth sailing. Because what we don't want to happen is you go out shopping for homes, you make an offer, and you get the contract, and then things fall apart. By then, you've spent money on an inspection, an appraisal, and things like that. So my job is really to make sure that before you go make the offer, before you spend money or anything like that, we have all of your ducks in a row. So that is my job.
Okay, but you can't buy a house with ducks. You just have to have them all in a row. You need this, right? You need money.
That's
You-
right.
You need money, and you sell this stuff, right?
That's right. That's
So
right. I got a lot in my purse, and I'm ready to lend it out.
So to simplify that, if you were going to sell me that $100 bill, and I'm a first-time home buyer, I would have to give you probably what? Maybe 10 of these, right? And I give you 10 of those, and you give me one of those.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a pretty good deal.
Our closing
However-
costs are a little less. So I'm gonna give you some
Oh,
back
nice.
even.
Look at
So
that.
we like to get our customers a good deal here.
I
So,
like that.
Yes.
And so the next part of that is that I have to continue doing this, right, for the next.
Yeah, once a
30
month, you're
years.
gonna pay me back a little bit of that $100.
And people don't stay in their house for 30 years. They don't do it.
Generally, no.
Right. In the meantime, the value of the property goes up, right?
Correct.
So it's the best deal on the planet, if you ask me.
Yeah, you're giving me some back every month, but your equity is growing more than that per
I
month.
love that. So listen, we work with the newlyweds and the nearly deads. All right. So if you're just starting out, and many of you are, you're just starting out and you hear about all these programs that are out there. Um, one of the programs we'll start with is FHA. Now,
Yes.
what is the FHA program?
So FHA is a very popular program, especially for first-time home buyers. Now, I think one of the myths, though, with that is that you have to be a first-time home buyer to get FHA, and that is simply not the case. That is not correct.
It's my last word. No!
Don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Keep
That's
going.
correct.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so FHA is good for anyone that's looking to purchase a primary residence. It has one of the most flexible underwriting standards as well. So on our FHA loans, we can actually go down to a 500 credit score. Now,
That means you didn't pay anybody ever.
that's right. I mean, you got to work pretty hard to get a 500, but we can help you turn that around for sure. But if you are under a 580, you need 10% down. But all that's required for the minimum down payment on FHA is a 580 credit score, and then you only need 3.5% down of the purchase price.
That's awesome.
You can qualify for a little bit more generally on FHA than you can on a conventional loan. The rates are a little bit better than on conventional, and you're able to, if let's say you had a bankruptcy or foreclosure, the waiting periods are not as long on FHA as they would be for conventional financing.
Okay. So when you say the rates and all of these other things, really what you're talking about is the price of the money.
That's correct.
Right. So
Yes.
I'll use all these fancy terms and people that are not really versed in all this stuff. So the worse your credit score,
Yes.
the more I pay for that money.
That's correct. There's a lot of different things that go into the rate that you qualify for. A lot of people think, oh, this is the rate for today on a 30-year mortgage, but that's really not it. We are looking at what type of property you're purchasing. So, for example, if you are going to buy a condo instead of a single-family home, there's going to be a premium for that. Condos are considered riskier collateral, and so then you are charged a little bit more in that interest rate. Credit score, that's the big one. That's the one everybody knows,
Sure.
of course. But yeah, it depends on the loan program. It depends on what type of property you're buying. It depends on how much you're putting down even.
Right.
So all of those things go into what rate you qualify for. And even then you have different options. So every person who comes to me has their own unique individual situation that I have to analyze and put together a loan program just specifically for them.
Okay. And it's not necessarily instant, but it is the starting spot, right? Before you go out there and start looking, you might as well figure out what you can buy.
Most agents are going to require you to get a
Sure.
pre-approval before they'll take you into a home. And you want to know too, it's also for you. You want to know, what's my monthly payment going to be on something like this? What are the closing costs? How much do I need to put down? All of those things you want to know before you start shopping.
Sure. So the cost of entry, right? How much does it cost to get in?
Right.
And then the cost to carry,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a minute or two since I really played around with the mortgage side of things, because I got you. So I just go, here, what's it going to be?
And we love you for it.
Good. And we're going to put her contact info on the screen so you can get a hold of Kristen Bunyer. So the less I put down, the more I typically have to pay monthly, right? Because I have
Correct.
something called private mortgage insurance and things like that, right?
That's right. So unless you're putting 20% down, you are going to carry private mortgage insurance. It's a monthly fee that you pay when you make a smaller down payment.
Okay.
Now that does generally go away once you reach 20% on a conventional loan. And the premiums are not so bad on them. So it's definitely worth it. Instead of having to come up with 20%, now I can put down 3%. I just pay a little bit more per month.
You're in. So you can't go do anything, but you got a house and you're living indoors.
Well, no, we don't like to do that to our clients
No,
either.
okay, all right.
No, we
No.
don't want anyone to be house broke at the end of it. And that's why the biggest piece to my first conversation with someone is, what can you afford every month? What are you looking to pay? What are
Sure.
you paying now? And so if someone gives me their monthly budget, then I'm able to back that into what purchase price does that correlate to? What homes should we be looking at? And we want to factor in, your monthly taxes, your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance. All of that goes into your monthly expenses, and those are something you need to consider before you go ahead and make that offer.
Okay, and a lot, I think at least with FHA, we have something called escrow, right? And I know what escrow is, but anybody watching, they might not know what an escrow is. So tell me what an escrow is and how
Sure.
that is actually financed into the loan.
Okay, so an escrow account is a separate account that's held on your behalf. So every month when you're making your mortgage payment, you're making 1/12 of your taxes and you're making 1/12 of your insurance payment along with your principal and interest. And so your taxes and insurance payments are held in your escrow account That way, when your taxes are due in November in Florida and your insurance is due, the mortgage company will pay those on your behalf. That's one less thing you have to worry about or budget for. So instead of having a large expense once a year, you escrow your taxes and insurance, and it's all taken care of. Easier for budgeting.
It means you're paying a little bit more every single month. But you know, it's funny when you think about it. People love getting tax refunds. And in a weird sense, it's getting a tax refund without getting the refund, right? Because you've already
you
paid for it.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's your money.
All right, so let's talk about practical things that first-time home buyers should be doing. Now, of course, they come see you. Obviously, they do that, right? We're going to talk about their credit score. You can even mention the words tri-merge. You can talk about some of that stuff. This is really boring stuff, which is why she's going to tell it to you, because she's easier to look at and easier to understand than me. All right. So let's talk about a few things, a few pointers, maybe some credit killers, because there's this myth out there. Remember, I used to sell money myself. And there's this myth out there that if I apply for credit, oh my God, my credit's going to be destroyed. Those kind of things. So touch on that if you would for a moment.
Yeah, really, having a credit pull is not going to make or break your mortgage qualification. And without one, we really can't tell you what you're going to qualify for, what you're eligible for, or anything.
Sure.
So you really have to start with the credit pull. And what I like to do too is if someone's not ready, at least now I have the information of tell them how to get ready. So if I have to turn someone down, which isn't very often, I can give them a step-by-step plan to get into that qualifying territory. Now, a lot of people think credit is the most important thing with a mortgage, but it really isn't. It's going to be your income. That's what a lot of credit challenges we can get away with. Like I said, we go down to a 500 credit score. I can find a loan for you based off of whatever your credit
And
is.
I can probably find you some customers.
But you have to have the ability to repay, and that's really what mortgage companies are looking for. Now,
Sure.
a lot of times too, I hear, well, I haven't been on my job for 2 years. We don't need you to be on your same job for 2 years to qualify for a loan. We just need to generally show a 2-year history. Maybe you had a gap in employment. Maybe you had a medical leave or something like that. Well, we can still fill in that 2 years somewhere in most cases. So it's not like you have to be on your job 2 years, have an 800 credit score, 20% down, all of these things. We're helping people every single day that don't have any of that,
Right.
So lending has gotten really flexible, especially when you're working with a broker like us, because we can tap into funding sources all over the place. We have loans for just about anyone. So as long as we can show an ability to repay in some way, and maybe that's your tax returns and your pay stubs, that would be your traditional way to do it. But I work with a lot of self-employed people, and they aren't going to show a lot of things.
Sure.
Maybe they have a good tax person, So in that case, we'll document their ability to repay based off of their bank statements or their assets or some alternative type of documentation that we can use to show that they are good for this mortgage. They should be able to get this loan, and we can help them out.
Gotcha. All right. So you actually helped me earlier middle of summer, I guess it was, and you did something called a tri-merge. Tell me what a tri-merge is. That sounds complicated.
Yeah.
Either that or a lot of fun. I don't know.
Well, the credit
depends on who you're merging with, I guess.
Yeah. Well, of
It's
course,
the Wild Bohr show.
We have Equifax, we have Experian, we have TransUnion. Those are our 3 major credit bureaus, and those are all 3 we're going to pull. So it's a tri-merge because there are 3 bureaus, and we go off of the middle score for qualification purposes.
Yep. And I remember when you pulled mine, I'll tell you right now, one was really high in the 7s, one was in the lower part of the 7s, and one was a little bit better than the middle of. And you said, Chris, you're good. What do you want to buy? And I went, I'm scared. No. Because that's dangerous for the Wild Bohr. Like, oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So
we only finance homes, Chris.
I understand. Okay. All right. Actually, that's a good thing that you brought up. But so let's talk about this. So credit killers. Now, remember, right now we're generally talking about the first-time home buyer. And it could be the second home buyer, whatever. But what are the credit killers? Because if I come to you and you take a quick tri-merge, I'm not going to lose 50 points or 100 points in my credit. But what would do that?
Not paying your bills on time.
Gotcha.
And sometimes we'll get an application for someone, they're 3 months behind on their car payment. They haven't made a credit card payment in 2 years. Now's not a really good time to buy.
They're like, find me a house.
Yeah. So
I want you to find me a house. Well, you only got a 390. No, you need 500. Find me a house. No.
Yeah, it's not going to work in that case. We need, like I said, at least that 500. But really what they're looking at is a history too. Do you have a history of paying things on time? Now, stuff happens. People go through horrible events, maybe a job loss,
Sure.
maybe a divorce, maybe a medical event, something like that where
Yeah.
your finances can take a hit. But we have to see that you're back on track.
Right.
Once you're back on track, we're probably good to go. So we do want to see some on-time payments. You can't come in with everything, late.
I got you. All right. So let's say somebody comes in and they've got some work to do. They got to clean their credit
Sure.
up. Now, do you set a little alarm and call them like, hey, pay your bill today?
Well, that would
Gentle reminder. Here's the chocolate.
yeah.
Here's the
No,
donut.
that's up to them. So we have to show some financial responsibility. I can't do that for you.
Okay. All right. All right. So, but credit killers, man. So listen, I know this just from millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of real estate. I've been doing this for a long, long, long time. I have been at closings. Where somebody thought, what the heck? I'm getting ready to buy a new house. I need new furniture. I'm going to have a driveway. I'm going to have a garage, go buy myself a vehicle. Now, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
that credit score does change, right?
I'll tell you two stories about that. I did a refinance for someone, and on a refinance for your primary home, there's a 3-day rescission period after you sign all the closing documents. Well, this guy decided that was a good time for him to buy a new minivan. And
was it a special needs type of thing?
you would think so,
even
judging
tell.
the timing, but no, it wasn't. And the lender actually took their money back, and he didn't qualify for the refinance anymore. So
Were they mad?
they had to return the van, and then we ended up doing their
Okay. Got to bring
and I
that
had
in.
another one who he had not closed yet. It was a new home purchase, but he decided that was a good time to go to, the furniture store and outfit the new property. Well, I think he ended up sleeping on that couch that he bought because we were not able to close the mortgage.
And I know
after
you
he
told him,
went-
don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. There's certain things you don't do when you're in the loan process, and financing any
Right.
other debts is a big one.
Huh. Okay. Credit killers, man. All right. So there's something called a DTI. We got a lot of acronyms and stuff in our business, in our industry. A DTI. What is a DTI?
DTI stands
It's not
for
a UTI. It's a DTI.
It's not a DTI. It's not a DTF. It's
DTI.
debt to income ratio.
All right.
So that's the most important piece, and that's what tells us how much you qualify for. So we look at all of your monthly debts versus your monthly income. We include the new mortgage in those monthly debts, and if that's within a certain ratio, you're good to go.
Okay. All right. So don't be afraid. I mean, that's the bottom line is, hey, listen, you're not the first person in the pool. I'm going to tell you this gal is compassionate, and she is wonderful, and she's understanding. And, I say as an auctioneer all the time, I don't judge, I liquidate, right? You don't judge, you sell money.
That's right.
And you don't get paid unless you sell the money. So you
Exactly.
certainly have a motivation to try and get somebody from the start to finish. And you've been doing this long enough that you know that it might not happen overnight. That maybe you work with somebody for 6 months or maybe for a year, right?
I mean, I have clients that I've been talking to for 3 years
Sure.
that they finally make it to the closing table.
So all these years ago, I remember the first time I bought a house on my own, I had to get what they called a hard money loan. What's a hard money loan?
So hard money is basically your kind of like your last resort, I guess. If you can't do this loan, you can't do this loan, you can't do this one. Well, you can always fall back on hard money. It's a very expensive type of loan to get, but it is going to be very flexible, and you'll find someone to do it.
So the reason, me personally, that I had some hard money loans was because I was in college. And I actually believe it or not, I graduated. Anyway, I know, right? Anyway, I had the GTFO program, so I got a degree in that. Get the out. And but I had some roommates along the way, and there was just back debt. It was like telephone bills back then, and utilities and whatever that just didn't get paid, and they lingered, and then there was this and there was that. So I wasn't quite a 500, but the programs weren't what they were. So here's what I did. The mortgage broker that I worked with at the time said, look, you're going to get in, you're going to pay through the nose, your interest rate's going to be really high.
Yes.
Just be disciplined for 24 months.
Yep.
And when I did, in the meantime, the value of my house went whoop. So I was comfortable now with the payment that I was used to making. So I was able to refinance, and you talked about that, which is basically buying new money to pay off the old money. And I was able to refinance. I was actually able to take cash out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
My payment went down, and I was able to do some improvements that we call that deferred maintenance that I was waiting till the right time to do. So those are something that you can do. If somebody's in an uncomfortable loan, you
Yeah, sometimes you have to get a stepping stone loan.
Sure.
You know, it's we do this for now and refinance it when you're in a better situation. Another reason to get hard money would be if the property is really in really bad shape and you
Sure.
don't want to do a fix and flip or something like that. You can always look at hard money. I'm sure you run across that in your auctions all the time,
Sure.
where it can be difficult to get financing on an auction property if things aren't all buttoned up. But we do have fix and flip loans. Hard money is generally going to be a last resort just because it is the most expensive product out there that you can get, but it definitely comes in handy and can get people into homes that otherwise they would not be able
I
to.
like it. All right, so that's a neat opportunity for me to talk about the Wild Boar for just a second. Excuse me. Yes, people ask me all the time, "Hey, can I finance if I'm the winning bidder of a house?" And the answer is absolutely.
Yeah.
But it can't be a contingency, right? What does that mean? That means it can't be a condition for you not to buy the house. If you're the winning bidder and I say, sold $350,000, congratulations, you just won. Now, if you want to finance the property, that's fine. We'll give you all the access to the property in the world. All right. But at the end of the day, it can't be, hey, I couldn't get the financing. I'm not going to close because they'll lose their deposit. But if somebody wants to go to an auction, they should come and see you, right? To get themselves pre-qualified because they're feeling really confident in the auction and they know. And I know when I see a pre-approval letter from you for Chris, I'm good. Like I know that, right? So that bid is solid. And I
Yeah.
can tell my seller, hey, listen, they're going to finance this property. However, they just wrote us a check for X, which is typically 10%. So, if it's a $300,000 hammer, that's $30,000 that they don't get it back if they don't close.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But financing an auction property is absolutely no problem. And I mentioned, distressed properties, but I think for you, Chris, a lot of times your properties are not distressed. They're actually just maybe sit on the market too long.
Sure.
The agent can't currently sell them, something like that. We are seeing properties stay on the market a little bit longer now. So I know that that's a good time for you to kind of step in and maybe look at the auction option.
I co-broker with agents all the time. And if you decide that you want to sell your property at auction, there's a couple quick things. Number one, if you're the agent, you're still going to get paid and you're going to get paid whatever your contract is. Number two, your seller does not pay a commission. Your seller does not pay a commission. Your seller does not pay a commission. The
It's amazing.
buyer pays the commission. That's how that happens, okay? There is something called a reserve. The reserve is, hey, we're not going to sell the property for less than this number, period, unless you say it's okay. The reserve is we're not going to sell it less than this number unless you say it's okay. Example, and I see it all the time. Somebody starts with a property at $400,000 and the agent takes it. And I'm not beating up agents at all. I love agents. I absolutely love agents. The agent takes it because they've got a listing. Like, whoa, I got a listing.
Yeah.
However, they also have a very ambitious seller. And the fact of the matter is that even though they could find comps for 350 or 360 or maybe even less than that, they're excited to have a listing. And why not? Let's go see what the market has to say. 30 days into it, now all of a sudden we go from this ambitious seller to maybe this hopeful seller. And then the next stage, of course, is the reasonable seller that I can work with. And now they become exhausted. And finally, they become desperate. I got to sell this property. I've been sitting on it for 6 months. It cost me $5,000 a month to carry the doggone thing. I'm 30 grand out, and I'm still worried. And the agents are going like this. And most of the time, even if there's great relationships, the seller is frustrated with that agent, and they're exhausted over the agent. They're just waiting for the listing to expire. Don't let your listing expire. Agents, call me, all right? The Wild Boar, I get it done. A lot of people have a dozen listings, 15 listings. I don't carry that many. And the reason I don't carry them is because I get them sold. If you want your house to be showed, cool. You want it sold, call me, all right? And we're going to do something at a number that works. So if I have a seller that says they want $500,000 for their property, and it's because they saw it on Zillow or Redfin or something like that, and that's fine. I can't find the comps to support that because there's deferred maintenance or the places, walk up and the garage door's falling off the hinges and it happens. Then indeed I have to say no and walk away from that. But if they'll come in and have a realistic expectation, then we're okay. So the buyer's going to pay all that stuff. And if I send somebody to you and I say, hey, listen, I have a potential bidder that wants to get pre-qualified, you're like, no problem. And you're usually, oh, by the way, the decision's important. How fast does it happen? It's quick.
Yes, I do all my pre-approvals in the same day.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I'll call you in the morning and say, you know what? I don't even know if you can get a hold of this person because they're a school teacher or something like that. Maybe they're a substitute teacher, whatever it is. Maybe they're against the clock. And you just need a little bit of information. They have 5 minutes to go out and call you. You ask them a few questions. You do a preliminary pool. And by the afternoon, you can say, Chris, yes, I can get them done. Or you sometimes tell me this one's going to take a little bit of work,
Yeah.
right? Maybe we can. I can't get them to the number that's going to work for your auction, but I'd rather be able to tell them that instead of having them at the auction raising their hand for a house that they can't afford. All right, now believe it or not, this has been awesome already, and it's because we're friendly. I know the business, you know the business. We are chewing up some minutes. I was kidding, and I said the newlyweds and the nearly deads. So, uh, talk to me about somebody. I won't use her name because of HIPAA laws and everything else. But we had an elderly woman. She was in her 70s. The only income she had, I believe, she had Social Security was all she had. Now she had some money in the bank, but we got her pre-approved because she had good credit. What about that other end of the spectrum? What are those folks that are watching that might be, let's say, over 60 years old? Maybe they're single,
Yeah.
a widow, widower, whatever.
Seniors are in a very unique position because obviously they're on a fixed income.
Right.
So we can't go the traditional route all the time for them. Sometimes we have to do asset-based lending. They might have a lot in a brokerage account or IRAs, retirement accounts, things like that, and we can definitely qualify them off of those assets. Another thing unique to West Park Mortgage is that we do reverse mortgages as well. Yes, so I have one going right now for this woman, and this is for someone who wants to stay in their home, but they are on that fixed income. Maybe they need to make maintenance to the property, or my current client, just all she wants is to be able to pay her taxes and insurance every year. The beauty of a reverse mortgage is that you can take out as little as you want or as much as you want, given your parameters, of course. So every year she'll just take out a lump sum to pay her taxes and her insurance, and she will never make a payment on this loan.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And then she passes away or she moves into ALF or something like that, and now the kids it's in their lap.
It is.
And oftentimes they'll call me and they're freaking out. Oh my gosh. Let's say, wait a minute, let's find out what the balance is on that reverse. And then let's find out what the value is of the property, because you might not be that far apart, and we can get creative and we can get that asset to sort of sync up, if you will, and then give them an opportunity to sell it. And I don't just sell properties at auction, right? You know, I'm a conventional broker as well, so we do that. This is a whole segment by itself. I'm going to tell you this. Listen, you know what? If you are into it and Chris is into this, I think we should go through and do a couple minute segments, right, for folks that are first time buyers. And we should have an ongoing series of this, that if they want to go on to the Wild Boar Show channel, we'll put a heading up there. If you want to know about FHA, you want to know about investment properties, right?
Yes.
You want to know about no-doc loans. They do exist, guys.
They do.
They really do. The no-docs
We've
means
got
you don't have to prove it, okay? So if your credit score is good and you've got a bag of cash to put down, you got to put that somewhere, by the way, we can get you done, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. We are definitely waning on time. I could talk to you about this stuff forever, but before we go, because I always talk about what you guys do in the community. Me personally, I was here yesterday for a seminar that you actually held for agents, and talk about that for a second, a little bit more about the community, and then let's wrap this up.
All right, absolutely. Yeah, so yesterday we had an awesome event for our real estate agents. We love giving back to them. They give so much to us. We're passionate about helping them out in any way that we can. So yesterday we did a little lunch and learn on AI and creating
great.
social media posts.
Yep.
Chris, you were there. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And yeah, they actually left with the work done. So a lot of times, you'll go to the class and you go, yeah, these are great ideas, and you're fired up, and you leave, and then you do nothing with the notes ever again. So what was good about this one is we did the work in the class. So you left with the task completed. So we love doing that for our agents and our clients. Of course, we do other charity events. We did a lot of hurricane drives and things like that last year when we were all impacted by that. So there's a lot that West Park does, and we care about the community and the people that we work with.
Well, you and Chris Musso, who is the owner of West Park, did tell us this morning we had a morning mingles right here.
That's right.
We had the chamber out, and we had a dozen or 15 people here, literally just networking and having a good time. And one of the things that he said that stood out to me was they're independent lenders, which means they go out and shop for you, right? They're looking for the best rate and the ease to entry. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
The ease to entry. Let's get this done. I used to say, hey, I ease the emotion and lessen the stress of the home buying process, because trust me, folks, it can be stressful, but it's supposed to be fun. It's absolutely supposed to be fun. This has been fun. It's been fast. I mean, I can't believe it. We're going to, if you're willing to, and Chris is willing to, we will do some more segments. We won't make you do that today. I remind all of you tuning into the Wild Boar Show, I am going to be at the Fort Lauderdale Yacht Club tomorrow. I fingers are crossed. A lot of things have to fall into place. I'm a benefit auctioneer, and I'm going to help the American Caribbean Maritime Foundation as they are indeed raising funds for a couple of things. One, of course, is the maritime access. What does that mean? That means folks in the Bahamas and some of the Caribbean nations have the opportunity to get into maritime colleges. This isn't necessarily merchant marines, but cruise ships, things like that, that wouldn't necessarily have the money to do that and the access to it to do that. The gal Genevieve Metzger, who is the president of the, she's Jamaican. And of course, they just got pounded. Folks, we live in the Oldsmar area and we got beat up pretty good with Helene and Milton last year, but these folks went through a category 5. I understand 160 plus mile an hour winds. And if you've seen any of that, even if it's AI, like I'm telling you right now, they're devastated. So part of the money that we're going to be raising tomorrow evening will be filtered right back to Jamaica for direct relief. So all of you that are all of yous, where'd that come from? All of you that are watching, you're community centric, right? You have these interests. I know that there's a lot of agents, realtors, that then just the curiosity factor, folks. We are a give back group. Okay. We love to give it back and we absolutely take great pride and pleasure out of doing that. I know this gal from the Chamber of Commerce, which is of course business centric, but we also love to give back. With all of that, I could continue forever. You got anything else you want to say about West Park? How do they get you? westparkmortgage.com? Is that it?
Yes, we can go to westparkmortgage.com or kbmortgageguide.com.
All right. And do you want to give them Chris's phone number so your phone doesn't blow up? What's the number to the office?
My
Easy,
phone
boys.
number. My phone number is 863-602-4877.
And you actually answer your phone.
I do like to answer my phone. Yes, and otherwise you can text me on that number or Kristen at kbmortgageguide.com.
I love it. Folks, thanks so much for tuning into the Wild Boar Show. I'm Chris, the Wild Boar, thewildboarshow.com. We're out.